This podcast contains an English accent that most of our Irish listeners will find offensive. Also, there may be some colourful language that you're going to find less offensive. Now, over to Ryan and Leon. Enjoy the podcast.
He'd never pass you. He'd go up and down the street, always say hello. We had time for everybody. He loved people and he loved chatting to people. It'd take him an hour to go up and down Grafton Street because he stopped to talk to everybody. He was just lovely, lovely man. He was well known. I bought his book some years back. I met him on the Quays, I think it was. He was very proud to be Irish and Dublin. He was, definitely, yeah. Sad day.
I remember meeting him on Howth Harbour and buying his tapes of his poetry for my sons, and they could even recite them when they were little. They loved his poetry. He was a great guy.
Coming to you live from RTE News, this is the Poetry Den podcast with Ryan, Duggins and Leon Dunn. Yeah, right.
Yeah, good, yeah. We didn't get the permission from RTE to use those little clips from fans of Pat.
Look, we're putting them on the map with our podcast, you know.
Well, you know.
We'll get young people listening to RTE News now, which is going to be great.
Well, what we were listening to there were people of Dublin sharing their thoughts, their condolences and goodwill about the late Pat Ingoldsby. Someone that we'd featured work on the show really early on. Fourth podcast we did.
Fairly sure I claimed him as the Gandalf of poetry.
Yeah.
And he was. He fucking was. He was. As I remember I texted you the day that he passed, I said, Pat Ingoldsby has passed through the veil. You know, and he's gone to the other side, but he still lives on through his work and through his character that he was known. I think Dublin as a city is known for having kind of famous characters about
characters, iconic people,
and Pat Ingoldsby is one of them, and he will be forever now.
Do you think he's more known for being an iconic figure of the city, or a poet and an artist?
I think both.
Yeah.
I think his character helped him sell his poems, but his poetry was also fabulous as well. So he was a showman. He was able to entertainer, like if you really
levity with his work and fun.
But he was a children's broadcaster as well. Like, you know, he did loads of different things. Like, so, and then he sold his poetry on Westmoreland Street, and you know, just.
I was actually on the Lewis just in today because I came from Sandyford up, and you go past Westmoreland Street. You obviously go past College Green, where the Bank of Ireland office is, and it is. I think it had been a while since he was there, actually, so my mind's obviously playing tricks on me and pretending making up that he was there, but I don't think he'd been there since lockdown, but it definitely looked emptier.
Yeah, as I said, he was a big figure that kind of left behind. He touched it like he was a people's power, you know. And
yeah, maybe what would help, because I know we've got a lot of people listening from places that aren't in Ireland. I think Pat Ingoldsby is a very Irish person, like Dublin. Like, you can't really find information about this guy. Like, you know what's interesting? I was checking out on Instagram earlier on, and I had to take a screen grab of this. Imelda May posted the RIP.ie notice of the funeral tomorrow. Sorry, tomorrow meaning last week, because this goes out on Monday. And the guy posted a comment on the Imelda May post saying, "Never heard of him being Argentinian, but if you speak so highly of him, there's no way I would not be searching for his stuff starting yesterday. He was surely a life worth lived. R.I.P." And the first thing I thought was, like, you're not going to find anything, because you can't buy a book without going to his website.
Or the Wine and Stair.
Or the Wine and Stair, but you're not going to know that unless you're from Ireland. There's nothing on Spotify. If you search Pat Ingoldsby in Spotify, we come up, it's the first thing. There's nothing on YouTube. You can't find his recitments. There was like a Museum of Literature movement a couple of years ago, where like there was a film about him by Seamus Murphy. But that was 3 years ago. Before that, there was fucking nothing.
There is a documentary about him.
That's the film I'm talking about. Yeah. The Curious Case of
I'm going to get this so people can actually find it.
But you have to buy that, but even that, you have to buy it on Vimeo.
Have you?
Yeah, like, so I just think it's not a shame, but like, you know, it's not good when you haven't, like, you want to go and explore someone's work and there just isn't, you can't get his books anywhere, you can't listen to his poetry. It's all like, when I was trying to read his poetry, I was taking screen grabs on Google Images from people that had shared his work, so it's hard to get into him. Really, you can't really quickly access the magic of Pat Ingoldsby.
I think then when that kind of makes it a bit more magic, I suppose, in a way that it's not easily found poetry. You have to seek it out to find it. The documentary is the peculiar sensation of being Pat Ingoldsby.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then when that film came out, I think the Museum of Literature published. It was the first ever published hard book of Pat's work, and that wasn't a self-published book from himself.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one, but the poetry itself, you'd say it's whimsy, kind of powerfully happy, positive. There's some introspection there, but it's mostly there's cynicism there as well. Bit cynical, bit of a cynical fella, but fun. I think fun is the overriding word to call Pat Ingoldsby's poetry. He doesn't
take himself too seriously. I think that he makes fun of like systems, like, you know.
Yeah.
He makes fun of like the mainstream media, and he makes fun of like how Ireland kind of only, like, he'll probably become more accessible now that he's passed on, which is the saddest thing about it, you know. And Ireland kind of revels in its writers once they passed away, which is a shame, because he was alive until last week. So, you know, and he was just as good then as he is now. So there's no point, you know, like. But I suppose that a lot of artists, when they kind of pass on, people go through their kind of archives and through their collections, and, you know, it becomes popularised in the mainstream culture because they go, you know. But
actually on that, there was the viral movement happened when Pat passed. Everyone started sharing this one poem. Yeah. And it was about that. It's about what would happen to him when he passed. Maybe I'll read it out.
I think you should.
Good start. And by the way, just so you know, this podcast is a bit different. So it's a showcase of Pat's work. So we've got contributors that have sent in their performances. We've never listened to them before. Yeah. So we're going to be in the studio, listening to the work and talking about the performances. So everybody that's got in touch and sent us recordings, and there were a lot. Thank you so much. Like, it just adds to just, I don't know what you'd even say, like, but there isn't much media about this guy. So I think this is quite an important podcast we're doing today, where anyone that wants to go and listen to his work will be able to do this for ages. Yeah.
I think that's it's important as well to showcase people that deserve credit where credit's due. And he was special, you know. And I think it's the format of this show, because we've so many people that reached out to us and wanted to be part of this episode. As I said before, he was a poet of the people, so why not let the people read his poetry?
I think that's what we're doing.
Well, you know, good thing for us is you're one of the people, and you're going to read
out
a poem.
I'm going to do this one. This is the one that went viral. This is a message for when I am gone. Ireland. It is little or no favours you ever did me or my poems when I was alive. I have this terrible feeling that sometime after I am gone, you will swing into your usual rearguard action. So, posthumously, in advance, stick it up your arse.
That was A Message for When I Am Gone by the great Pat Ingoldsby.
I wonder why when he wrote that.
I don't know.
I know. He was ill for a while, I think.
He was ill for a while.
Yeah, he was sick for a while. So,
you know, but was he 82?
Don't know. Was he? I'll have a look. But that kind of sums him up, though, doesn't it? And actually, weirdly enough, right? So I was doing a bit of research about the film that was made, and when Seamus Murphy was trying to get it funded, he presented the idea of Pat being the centre of his film, and actually, Pat only accidentally ended up having his own film because Seamus Murphy was he felt something was missing from his film about Dublin, and then he was like, it needs character, it needs something, and then he came across Pat. So when he pushed the message to the Arts Council and was like, I want to do a film centred around the work of Pat Ingoldsby, they said, why him? And then he said, well, listen, if we're in that conversation, we need to leave. Yeah. So then he just left and got it funded somewhere else.
Wow.
Isn't that mad?
He was 83, by the way.
83.
But I think it's just, there's something very punk rock about him. he's not an establishment poet. He's just like, he's bohemian. He's like, I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell books in person, on a street, in cash, probably. I'd say preferably in cash. I don't think he had a sum up. And buying his books off, man. It makes it so much more special that you have to travel into town, or to either go on the street and buy it, or to the Winans there and find his books to get them. Like it's you have to make a pilgrimage to Pat to buy his poetry.
And I think that he was okay with it. I think that the misconception of Pat is like, oh, the down and out who's had to sell his own books. Like, no, he had a period with RTE. He was with RTE for 10 years. He left overnight because he had some mental health issues, and he just didn't want to be a part of that anymore.
Yeah.
And he found himself and his own comfort in being away from the establishment and not being famous.
Yeah.
I don't think it fit him. Entertaining people, I think, did, but not particularly being famous.
I think that, like,
I get that as well.
He realised, and this is me speaking about Pat's mindset, which I probably have no clue about, but my take on it is that he realised that, like, you don't have to be famous to create art and to, like, reach people, and people found it more special that he wasn't like this sellout that just kind of was only in it for cash and paychecks. He was actually in it to just write poems, connect with people, and sell his work.
Yeah.
Who we got first?
Well, I want to share this. So, someone that we published a poem of in the collection is a guy called Steven O'Toole. Stephen is a poet, but also a mural painter. He's actually had murals for Imelda May. And if you go to Hoth, the mural with Pat's face, and it says, I think, "Welcome to my head."
Yeah,
it's my head rather than Hoth head. Is the work of Steve. Now he had a close relationship with Pat, and he was the first person I was thinking of when actually it was Sean Watmore who told me that Pat Ingoldsby had passed. I was like, shit, I wonder how Steve's getting on. So we asked him to send us a message of his friendship with Pat Ingoldsby, and also he wrote a poem about Pat as well. So this poem is not Pat's work, it's Steve's work, but let's have a listen. This is the voice of Stephen O'Toole.
We have lost a beautiful, wonderful soul, a phenomenal writer who opened his heart and head to us. Please remove your boots. A poet who introduced me to a life of rhyme dozen with reason. I'm so grateful to have been part of Pat's world, from the first time I discovered salty water to when he performed his entire one-man show to me, his one-man audience, on a stormy night in Dublin many years ago. But that's a far longer story. Pat became a good friend, a great supporter, and never stopped encouraging me to write and create. He afforded me opportunities in reading my own words at his gigs, thanked me in Sea Liz She Spins for fighting the good fight, and again more recently when I painted my first Dublin canvas as a thank you and tribute to him on the corner of Vernon Avenue and Kincora Road in Clontarf. I wrote this piece, Move Along the Pat, early last year, reading it to Pat over coffees in Clontarf. Thankfully, I received 100% Pat appreciation and approval. What more could you ask? Rest well, Pat. From hat's brim to hand's ring, the Johnny Cash vibe. A balanced walk, the times talked, your streets tribe. Tire kickers, arse lickers. What's the Jack and Ori, Pat? Streets worn, words sworn, at poems published by a cat. In this city of developers and weekend revellers, the streets no longer belong to you. They're full of bankers and wankers, and very little rings true. But your poetry, your words, your zany tales absurd, this is where it's at. With your book-laden bag till the Garda drag, move along the Pat. But Dublin's not the same since our streets lost your name. Your words worth more. We were taller in your thoughts in the good fight that you fought. It's time to settle the score. For all will know your city's love on show in all that you do. A blue plaque it's pity, for you're missing your city, but not as much as it misses you.
That was Stephen O'Toole with Move Along the Path, Pat. Great. Yeah. What a way to start the show.
Very, very good. Very good. You can hear the emotion in his voice.
You can.
At the all throughout, basically, And I love the Johnny Cash vibes. the guards moving him along. Like, it's fucking Pat Ingoldsby when you're moving him along for selling books. He's not selling drugs. He's selling words, you know.
And the Johnny Cash reference, he has that poem, doesn't he? It's called, I think it's called Dying, isn't it? It's like, if it was good enough for Johnny Cash, it'll do me.
It'll do me, yeah.
That's where it comes from. I love that piece.
Yeah.
And what an amazing thing to listen to Pat Ingoldsby's one-man show in his house in Clontarf.
By himself.
Sitting there like...
Yeah, he's just like, I'll just do a whole show of you. Yeah, do you want to just hear me whole show? Like, it's down there.
I got nothing else. 45 minutes,
yeah. It's down there and shut up. I'm not doing me fucking play. Do you want to buy a palm?
I loved it. And like he's saying about the city missing him, like the characters of the city we said earlier on, but like that's what makes Dublin a special place.
But like even the fact that he said like in his intro that he was like, Pat gave Steve opportunity to read out his own work. So there's such a, he's helping people
passing
up
forward. Yeah,
he's leaving the ladder down and he's giving someone else a hand up, because he's like, he has a name for himself and he's allowing other people to kind of come up with him as well, rather than be like, I'm at the top and you're down there. He's again a people's person, just bringing everybody up as well. It's great,
beautiful.
Yeah, very touching, very emotional.
Thanks, Steve. We'll kick on to. Why don't we listen to Sean Watmore's piece? He sent us a very short poem. He's a big fan, heavily influenced as well by Pat and Pat's work. I think he was saying like he is one of the only poets that you can find that has like that Pam Ayres level of crack. Like it's fun. It's really fun stuff. So listen to this short one. We don't know what it's called. We never heard it before. But this is the voice of Sean Watmore.
The sultry tones.
3rd of the 10th, 2000, by Pat Ingoldsby. On this day, 40 years ago, I started work. Sun Life of Canada, 24 Suffolk Street, Dublin 2. I thought it was the most important place in the world. It's a Pizza Hut now.
That was 3rd of the 10th, 2000 by Pat Ingoldsby.
It's a Pizza Hut now.
It's a Pizza Hut now, but like, it's so fucking spot on, because like, that's what Dublin is at the moment. It's like, it's all the places are being retrofitted with just chains and...
Well, that's what the city's known for as well. It's like there's a fucking flip between characters and the people and the kind of, like you said, the gentrification of the city and the building up of the city as well, and the office blocks and the hotels. So like, yeah.
I heard recently there was a person, I can't remember where they heard it, but they were saying that it was the first time, it was in a pub, and they said the first time they'd ever heard an American give out with the price of Guinness in Ireland. And that's when you know it's fucking bad.
Oh God, you can't get pissed in America without taking that fucking Wong alone.
But like, like Americans they're like the final frontier of price. You can charge them fucking anything and they'll never give out.
Never, man.
They'll always think, wow, that's so cheap, and like, or it's probably worth for a great pint of Guinness, and they'll have one sip, take a picture and fuck it in the bin. Yeah. But like, if the Americans are giving out with the pint of Guinness, the city's fucked. Yeah. Do you know? Like, if they leave, they'll take all their money, and we don't have any. What are all the hoteliers going to do?
They won't believe. And I saw a photo of Michal Martin in the LinkedIn offices today. So he's tying he's keeping things close with the American companies. So
he's uploading the CV to it, is he?
That Guinness price is not getting any lower. I'll tell you that for free.
I heard a thing about a rumour about that. The reason why Guinness went up isn't because of the cost of materials or nothing like that. It's because Diageo, the drinks company, they basically wanted to they brought the price up of the pint of Guinness to pay for the costs of their other drink profiles. So on their portfolio.
Oh, so
basically
the
everything
ones
else
were dropping kind
the
of.
ones they're dropping are the ones that whatever. We'll fucking boost Guinness up. I think it was actually an article by Cormac Fitz. I read it. He did a very good deep dive on it, and he was talking about the price of it, because obviously I'm wearing a shirt with a big sexy pint on the back of it. I take my pints very seriously, but the price of Guinness went up by 20 cents purely because the Azure were like, they'll pay it. 'Cause
But they would, yeah, they would. Well, actually, they said they would, but this podcast may as well be sponsored by Beamish.
Pushing, I was going to say,
we are literally pushing Beamish every episode. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened.
pushing us further and further into Beamish. Do you know?
Great poem, though, wasn't it?
Oh, it's a fucking fabulous poem. Yeah, and as I said, it captures the moment of what Dublin's kind of going through at the moment.
I'm going to give you a poem to read, if that's okay. I found this, but again, it just sums up like his work. As I said, I was back in England for a weekend. I was like, what I'm going to do? I'm going to read Pat's poetry on the flight, and I went to get him on his, obviously not on Kindle. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I took about 50 screen grabs of his poems on Google Images, and this one I found, I was like, oh, this is fun. So here we go. Have a read of that, pal.
This is called Flash by Pat Ingoldsby. I was sitting in Bewley's in Westmoreland Street, concentrating so hard on looking cool that I flicked the ash of my cigarette into my cup of coffee. That's what you get.
That was Flash. That's what you get.
That's what you fucking get.
Notion heads.
You're too busy looking cool. Yeah, fucking tobacco in the ale coffee.
Yeah.
As I say, that's great.
I had to get you to read that one out. I love that one.
He's very good at just capturing kind of little things, you know.
The zeitgeist of the, I don't know, like just he's obviously like anti-establishment anyway, but he's got a wink in his eye of like, you relax now. He's
a chancer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A gurrier, some would say.
A gurrier.
Do you know what a gurrier is?
I do now. Yeah.
You know what it is?
Like a scoundrel.
A scoundrel, yeah, that's what we'd say. Yeah. Gurrier or the chancer, yeah. Yeah. But that's why he has that kind of mischievous air about him, you know.
Yeah.
But his poems can be quite short, but they're still as effective. Who else are we listening to next?
Let's listen to. Let's go with Danni Cullen. Danni Cullen is a globe-trotting storyteller, and we've been back and forth with her, trying to get her to share some poems. Like, I can't do that. I mean, bloody middle of nowhere in the desert. I was like, all right, yeah, grand. But she sat down and she kindly recorded a poem for us, as well as a little note of appreciation of Pat's work. So this is the voice of seemingly professional storyteller Danni Cullen.
Hello, how are we? My name is Danni Cullen, and I would just love to share a little of why I love Pat, why I love his poems so much. I have not lived in Ireland in a very, very, very long time. And at times I would get really homesick. And, you know, I miss Dublin. I miss the accent. I miss the crack, the banter, the people, the streets. And I would sit there and I'd read Pat's poems. And I could just, you know, I'd hear the people when I'd be reading his poems. I could smell the streets when I'd read his poems. I could see everything. I felt like I was transported back to Dublin by just reading his poems. And, you know, I would sit there and I'd be laughing and I'd be crying all at the same time. And they're the kind of poems that just get into your gut, you know, or they get stuck in your soul. And I am forever grateful for them. And Pat, you're some man for one man, I tell you, you know. You have a way of capturing magic. Yeah. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, by Pat. Please do not list for me the medals you've won. Please do not list for me the prizes. Please do not tell me about the times you were on the nearly list. Show to me your poems instead. I'd like to read them. Perhaps they will excite me, touch me, cry me, laugh me, love me, and help me feel your world. If they do, I will be thrilled. If they do not, I will not think of you any less. Medals make my fingers cold. I would rather feel your poems.
Oh, that was a banger. That was Thank You.
That was fucking deadly.
Wasn't it?
It's just, I actually got shivers.
I know.
I got like tingles up my arms and the back of my neck listening to that.
Yeah, and I it sums up a few things for him. Like that's why he like preferred to not be on the Late Show, you know, and then just connect with the people that enjoyed speaking to him about poems.
Yeah.
But then also, like, I think when you get a little older, and I don't know how you feel about it, but like in your 20s, you tend to be in conversations about the frivolous and the kind of things you've got and the things you want and money and all that. And then, I don't know, you get a bit older, you do see these conversations as like, wow, this is not interesting at all. Like, I'm not engaged in the material whatsoever here. Like, any conversation I'm in now where, I don't know, it's about anything that's got a monetary, I'm just like fucking bored, like.
Just peacocking.
Yeah.
It's people been like, look at like your the amount of wealth you've accumulated, or the clothes you wear, or the car you drive. You can still be an arsehole.
Yeah.
It doesn't accumulate your character by the possessions you have, but your character can mean a lot more to people than any fucking expensive watch.
What do you think I think the litmus test, is it litmus or litmus?
Litmus.
The litmus test of whether or not you're an arsehole or not is like in the daytime when you are witnessing someone who is expensing coffee or expensing a lunch at like a Starbucks and they're a dickhead to the staff. You know, when people are bad to staff, you're like, oh, hang on. You like some suit with a briefcase saying to someone, can you not get hot enough? Or just not being that sound. I think that's a good test of like your character.
Well, here's a fun fact. You know Warren Buffett, the investor, one of the most successful investors of all time. When he's hiring someone, he would invite them to lunch, and he'd purposely ask the waiter to fuck up the order.
Oh, yeah.
And he'd watch, and he wouldn't say anything. And he'd go for the business lunch. Oh yeah, we'll go for an interview. Oh yeah, no, we'll go for lunch after. Yeah, we'll have a little chat.
And that'll be the test.
And you'll see what they do, because it's a person who doesn't have, you're in a situation where you feel you have the power and you can say what you want, and that person is literally being paid to to just take your bullshit.
Yeah, to not challenge you and just be on the knees.
So he's doing it as a very smart test to see, like, if you're going to treat service staff like that, how would you treat people that you're in charge of?
I always find as well, the people that aren't nice to waiting staff, they're never the super rich or the very successful.
Yeah.
It's always the moderately more successful than the average bloke.
Or do you know who else? Old money. People that have inherited wealth. Like, you've done fuck all. You're a terrible artist. Do you know what I mean? Your hand-drawings are awful. Just because you've started sculpting. You've fucking started sculpting out of egg boxes, and you've shit on a canvas and you think that it's art with no formal training. Doesn't mean that you're the successful artist. You've just inherited your granddad's wealth.
Just stop being a knobhead.
Stop being a knobhead. That's our life lesson. I think Pat would agree with us on that.
Yeah,
and say,
I think,
don't be a knobhead.
This is the spirit of Pat Ingoldsby talking there.
Channeling through us.
Thanks, Danny. And it helps that she's got a Dublin accent as well. Didn't it?
It definitely did.
In the before she did the poem,
you
could tell that. I don't know what her regular voice is or her tonality, but like just hearing that like coming through, definitely. I felt warmer, and I'm in the city.
Yeah,
we're in the Dublin Central
We're literally
Library.
in the centre of Dublin.
Yeah, I miss Dublin. We're fucking here.
I know. We literally can just look out.
Outside.
We can see it out the fucking window.
That's how powerful that was.
I wish I was in Dublin, even though I am in the centre of Dublin.
Yeah. The real one.
I want to just kick that door out and let's go out in the street and smell the ground. I don't know.
It's funny, man. Speaking of like where we are now, so I was trying to find some fucking content about Pat Ingoldsby for the last couple of days, and there was like Joe Duffy came up on Spotify when you search for Pat Ingoldsby. I was like, that's interesting. Who's calling Joe Duffy about Pat Ingoldsby? So I was like, right. So the interview, you've got like Liveline, and you've got like it's like the sections in the title, very clever SEO tactics, I think, there from RTE. And then so I clicked the episode. It's like 23 minutes in, Pat Ingoldsby for 4 minutes. It's like, yeah, grand. I was like, oh yeah, perfect. And then that 20 seconds of Pat Ingoldsby, and the interview was like, yeah, the fella was like, oh Brian, how you getting on? He's like, yeah, I'm good, Pat. Yeah, I'm good. He's like, oh geez, yeah, you I was I noticed that the have you heard about the passing of Pat Ingoldsby? Did you ever pass him? He was like, yeah, no, I walked past him a few times. He's like, yeah, there was a fight around that area I saw on YouTube the other day. Are there any fights down where you are in Moore Street, Brian? And I was like, no, not many fights around here anymore, mate. You know. And then he started talking about the market traders. That's what he does. He's a market trader.
Yeah.
So like nothing about Pat Ingoldsby at all. Just like use it as like a little fucking word, and then got it into. I was like, oh, that is sick.
Oh,
Nothing about Pat Ingoldsby at all.
Just a buzzword.
Buzzword.
There was nothing to do with him.
Liveline.
Sneaky boys.
Yeah, I was sneaked in.
Sneaky boy, they rope you in.
Well, like fights in the city. Like,
luckily for our listeners, this is actually about Pat Ingoldsby.
This is about Pat Ingoldsby. Not.
We're not going to talk about fucking ice cream prices.
No.
Although they have gotten a bit expensive.
Stop it now. Call Liveline tomorrow.
Joe 0818 715 815.
Let's get our next guest on. Why don't we shoot for Michelle Bossonnett?
Oh yeah,
she was kind enough to send us a little piece. So let's again. We don't know what this is. We haven't listened. So like, I don't know what this is. So let's listen to Michelle.
Read out by a fellow poet.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Michelle.
of course. Yeah. Her debut collection Constellations came out not too long ago. So this is Michelle.
I Can Feel the Peace of It by Pat Ingoldsby. A little boy in a hollow at the edge of the green. The loudest thing would be a butterfly landing. Maybe a horse and cart. Maybe not. All the men have gone to work. Over the roads, up the fields. Sparrows fluff their feathers in the dust. A man bends his head underneath the pump and turns his face up. Open for a drink. The tide is coming in or going out. You'd have to look. Bunty McCann carries a wicker basket full of messages out of Bertie Boyle's shop and eases it into the holder on the bike. He pushes it away up New Street, past the Middle Yard, past Dunn's, past Howard's shop where Georgie Lynch chops meat hard against the wooden block. Down the green, beside the little boy's house, old Mr. Daniels comes out and leans upon his gate. It is enough.
That was I Can Feel the Peace of It by Pat Ingoldsby, read by Michelle Bossonnett. That's the old Dublin. He wrote, obviously the Pizza Hut one is like the new Dublin, what is becoming, but the Dublin of old, that's what it's like. It's, as I said before in the previous episode, that you're not from Dublin if your nanny didn't come from the Liberties.
Yeah.
And that's what the Liberties was. It's just like little small shops. And you know what? I was in Kilkenny yesterday, and the likes of like Kilkenny and Galway and all, I love going there because there's loads of little shops, little dinky shops owned by families that have been there for a while.
Yeah, men's suit shops called like Doyle's.
You know what I mean? And then like
Doyle's menswear,
little cafes, little whatever, little fucking shite shops that they're selling, Aaron wool jumpers or socks.
Yeah. But
it's a family-owned business and it's a small little business, and that's what Dublin used to be. And obviously, I suppose as city grows and becomes more modern and more, multicultural and gentrified, it loses that. That was a lovely reminder of what Dublin was, and you still find it in some places like in
Ballyfermot. I felt like I was there. You know what I mean? Like those places where time has stood still a little bit, and there are still those earthy families and those names.
You mean where Jerry's Deli is?
Jerry's Deli, yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, well, look, Jerry's Deli put a block on any gentrification in there. They have
imagine that sort of trying to get bought over by Spar.
They have a chicken fillet roll monopoly there. They've got the game locked down over in Ballyfermot. Yup, Ballier. But like it's town of old. It's lovely to hear what it was, and you hear it in like old songs and stuff as well, like what it was, and all the characters like Bang Bang and Johnny Forty Coats and stuff like that. Like Johnny Forty Coats was. Did you ever hear Johnny Forty Coats?
No, tell me about him.
So Johnny Forty Coats was a character. He was a homeless gentleman that used to wear only about 3 or 4 jackets, right? And he'd wear a big hat, but he wore 3 or 4 long coats even when it was summertime. He never took his coats off. So he became known as Johnny Forty Coats, right? But so much so that he was famous. Like not even like in Ireland, it's not like famous. It's like street famous.
Yeah, you're just known.
People just know him.
Word of mouth.
Parish famous, we'll say.
Yeah.
But there was a television show made by RTA, a children's called Wanderley Wagon, and they based a character off Johnny Fortycoats. Like they based off a homeless fella in Dublin that just had a load of jackets on. It's so fucking Irish.
I just love that about like any kind of like local hero.
Yeah.
There's one in Wolverhampton called the Cowboy.
The Cowboy?
Yeah, the Cowboy, just a fella with a cowboy hat. But he's just always in the city centre, and he'd always be preaching.
Oh wow.
But he's known as the Cowboy.
Fucking
And he had
brilliant.
like a metal bull tie on as well.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
In Wolverhampton. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know where he got this influence from. Yeah, it's called the Cowboy.
Straight from the rodeo.
Yeah. And the Tramp on the Ring Road. He was a famous character. Wolverhampton listeners will be going, oh my God, I can't believe Tramp on the Ring Road got a mention there.
From Pat Ingoldsby, the Wolverhampton heroes.
Yeah, mad. Let's listen to another poem.
Yeah, please.
This is a poem by Ben MacCaoilte, who has been kind enough to send us this in. I'm excited for this one. This is Ben.
Rock On Little Bee by the beautiful Pat Ingoldsby. The train from Galway to Dublin stopped in the middle of nowhere so that I was able to watch a bee working his little arse off at 8:10 at night. Buzzing and blossom blitzing in a wild hedgerow beside the railway. Little bee, I'm thrilled that I caught a glimpse of you, and I hope that they bloody well appreciate you back at the hive. Your honey is worth bottling. And then the train took off again, and left you somewhere that was in the middle of nowhere to me, but was the centre of your universe. Rock on, little bee. I've decided to keep on rocking too, since I caught a centre of the universe glimpse of you.
That was Rock On Little Bee by Pat Ingoldsby, read out by Ben MacCaoilte. I was transported. I was fucking
So was I. And this is see how weird we look. We're just smiling
and
in
sweating.
the studio. Just going, that was fucking beautiful.
Fucking deadly. Ah.
I'm just imagining him being on the train, looking at a bee and writing about the bee. It's just beautiful. It's lovely.
The simplicity of it. Do you know what I mean? Just like, and I think that's great about like poetry in general. That you're capturing a moment in time, and I think in this modern day as well, like it's even more because people. I've noticed right from since I started writing poetry that I will. You know, people are like on their phones all the time whenever they're bored, and it's like they're at a train station, they're wherever they are, somewhere fucking random. And they're on their because they're like, I'm bored. I need to just be on my phone and doing something rather than like just sitting here looking at the fucking pavement. But with poetry, I now have moments where I'll go to my phone and go, hang on a second, I'm going to pause. I'm going to look around and see if I see anything. And then you might see something that's interesting. You'll watch it and go, I'm going to write a poem about that. Because you can't be looking down and writing poetry. You have to be looking up. Keep your gaze around you, and like that poem's a perfect example of him just being on a train seeing a bee.
Yeah. And like even if you don't have a poetic pen, hand, whatever, you know, daydreaming is a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah.
Like the phone and like the kind of quick actions that we have around getting the phone, it kills daydreaming.
Yeah.
So you have to daydream.
Of course you
have to take the AirPods off and just sit and think and see where your brain takes you.
You need to allow yourself to be bored, you know.
Yeah, no, you definitely do. And I think also like there's a thing going on where like with phones, instead of like, let's say you're walking to the train station, right, and you're on the way to work, and your brain asks you a question. What you don't allow yourself to do is let your brain answer the question. What you do is you go to your phone and find the answer. So it's a weird thing where like, you know, and that could be anything that pops into your mind. The phone has become the secondary voice.
The recall system.
The recall system. That's the
do you know what? Like the best part is I love going into pubs, right? And again, I know you talk about pubs, but like it's a social setting, right?
Yeah.
But being in a place where your internet is fucking dreadful and you can't use your phone.
Beautiful.
Like there's a couple of I think some pubs in Ireland that have strategically put like a blocker, like a lead roof, because you can't for the life of you fucking use your phone, and you have to talk to people. And like just even been in a conversation on who was the football player, you know, I obviously don't talk about football, but like who was the football player that scored that goal and such, and you have to go and you all have to think about
fun.
It might be true, you could be talking out of your hole, but it might be the correct answer as well. Do you know? You know,
These moments are important, man.
These
They
moments
shouldn't
are
be,
important.
boosted by technology. As we're recording there, we've got a phone call coming in from Emma O'Brien. We're going to be doing a couple of poems, racing away from the library and opening up for his show. So before we race off and wrap this beautiful Pat Ingoldsby special, we wanted to share the poem that Pat wrote about his father. That I think the two poems went viral this week. The one about him dying and Ireland retrospectively celebrating him, and this one, and I can't wait to hear this. It's a beautiful piece. So
it's called "I Visualise My Death."
That's it. Yeah, I visualise my death.
Although I don't want to panic you too much, that wasn't a phone call off EOB. That was, I set a reminder on my phone.
Oh, was it?
In my calendar.
Right.
I don't want you to be sweating.
I was
now.
sweating.
I could see the panic in his eyes.
I'm already panicking because you don't mind being late. Things I mind.
It's because I'm Irish. That's why you know it's soft. It's a soft.
It's a soft start.
It's a soft start. No, it was. I set a thing in my calendar and it notifies me as if I've forgotten that it's going to be there. But
okay.
Just so you can relax for a second.
I enjoyed the panic.
You can relax. The stress.
It's got to have a bit of stress in your life.
So, I Visualise My Death by Pat Ingoldsby. I will go down to the water's edge in Malahide because it is time. Dad will be there in the boat. He will smile. You're coming over, he will say. He knows. Yes, I am. It's lovely to see you. Come on, he will say. Ta's waiting. A smile of joy will warm me. He will not need to help me over the side. Everything will be easy. Dad will pull on the oars, and away we will go, crossing over to the island, forever getting there.
That was I Visualise My Death by Pat Ingoldsby. That was rude.
Some final words from Pat.
Yeah.
You know?
Beautiful words.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Over to the island. Through the veil.
With his dad. Calling him over.
Yeah.
And I hope that journey went well. And I hope his dad was there.
I hope the current and the tide was in. And the waves weren't too high.
I'd say no. I'd say they wouldn't have been.
No. Nice day.
I've really enjoyed this last 45-50 minutes just listening to Pat's work.
Yeah. I feel like I'm at a wake and people are just telling stories, great stories with the person who passed.
Yeah. I've just loved it.
Yeah,
I've absolutely loved it. And if you are after this show keen to go and read more of Pat's work, that the collections are all available at the Winding Stair Bookshop on the Quays in Dublin. The Museum of Literature is the only place you can buy his selected poem collection from his work from 1963 I think to 2020. So those are two places, so please get into the city and get into it,
and hopefully posthumously his work becomes more available for international readers and poeticians alike,
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Leon, thanks for your time.
Always a pleasure, never to chore, Ryan baby.
See you later on, and Pat, take care.
Mind yourself.